Her Bak Chapter 8. The Sky. The sage led Her Bak to a door symbolic of a more advanced teaching. Entering, he said, "A year has passed since you passed this door. Have you passed the same threshold?" "Of course it's the same door." "Do you find yourself in the same place?" "It couldn't be otherwise," answered the disciple, surprised. "And yet it isn't the same place. A year has gone by, a cycle has closed, another has begun. Time has changed the place, for nothing stands still. You think you are still the same, Her Bak?" Joy lighted his answer. "Your teaching has changed my mentality and transmuted my worst resistances into living force. Not only the teaching, the method of concentration and meditation you have used since your admission has developed your understanding. You have learned how to translate in your thoughts what your heart perceives. Your own experience has proved the efficacy of our symbolic system, both to teach and to veil the mysteries of nature. You have been given elementary directions for the study of man in yourself and in society. Today we shall widen your horizons. What is Newt?" "The sky that contains the stars." "What is Pt?" "It is that which contains the stars." "Why two words for the same thing?" Her Bak reflected, hesitated. "I have seen Newt's image holding the sign of the sky with lifted arms. Perhaps the sky Pt is beyond Newt's, like a lid. Is this worthy of a disciple, Her Bak? You no longer have excuse for such feebleness of expressions. Are you any better equipped to study the word sbar, a star?" "What am I to say? You have taught me to look for the fact in nature and symbol, to mistrust fantastic supposition. I have spent all my time studying vegetable, animal, my own body. Be indulgent, master, if I haven't had one single hour to study the stars." The master's reply dismayed Her Bak. "I don't wish to add to your labours. The sky is far away. Let us put off the journey." The student saw but one thing, an opportunity lost through his own fault. Deploring his caprice, he recalled an earlier lesson. "You told me," he said, "that spa means three things that seem different: star, door, teaching. I know there's always a reason for such similitudes. I see that a door, an opening, may symbolize instruction, but what connection have these two things with a star?" The sage made no reply. Her Bak pursued his thoughts. "A star is inscribed in these three words. Then doesn't spa, to instruct, mean to give light? And isn't the door spa that through which one passes? Could spa, a star, have an analogous meaning? That through which something passes? Light?" "In this way," said the sage, "you could find your answer in the letters of the word. Use it to try and find out the meaning of the sky Newt and the sky Pt. Reflect on it all day. If your meditation opens your ears, we will answer your questions this evening." When it was full night, the sage made Her Bak climbed a narrow stone stairway that gave access to the terraces. Along a passage that opened halfway, they entered a cave-like chamber with paved floor, monolithic blocks in the ceiling, rough-hewn walls. A crushing atmosphere in which it was a relief to get a glimpse of the sky through a slit. The sage seated himself. The disciple did likewise, mute. "It is for you to speak," said the master. "Say what is in your heart. Let us hear what the thoughts are that have come to you." Her Bak sighed. More questions than answers. First, I meditated the symbols of the word newt and pt. I noticed that newt is depicted by a vase supported by the sky sign, while pt is written with the letters P and T placed over it. I said, then newt's symbol is an urn, her image, a woman clothed in waves. The sky sign denotes an idea, not a thing. An urn is that which contains. Urn and woman give newt this character, but a woman gestates the seed she contains and bears children, thus also with newt. As regards to P and T in pt, I don't see the meaning, nor the exact significance of their symbols, so I can't explain. Your reading as to newt is correct, said the sage. As to pt, it is the home of the netters. I'm still not satisfied, said the student. Are newt and pt different skies? Sometimes the sky sign sustains an urn, sometimes newt lifts it. Which is above which? Take care, Her Bak. You confuse physical image with symbol. I will try to make you understand by separating inseparable ideas. Quote, there is in this universe a unity, a coincidence, a superposition of factors that our thought is impotent to conceive without dividing them. If you wish to describe what is like a volume, cube or sphere that contains everything in terms of reason, you will have to cut it into slices, after which you will only see surfaces, anatomized parts. It is for you, disciple, to exercise your consciousness and use our methods using the symbols to explain to yourself what you have perceived. End quote. Her Bak silenced a swarm of arguments. A simple image stood out. I see my body, he said, as an envelope containing organs that transform foodstuffs. I see vessels containing humours, blood, liquids of various kinds that circulate. I see channels filled with air that renews the blood. I can call all these containers urns. Newts, urn, or body. But none of them would function without the energy that gives everything movement and strength. Call it generative fire. Yes, master, but it isn't visible. One can only judge of it by its effects. It's as if the life of each vessel depended on the state of affairs in another world. Without it, they would be inert. Yet, if they didn't function, there would be no energy. Which world comes first? That of the vessels or that of unseen force? To know the answer, you would have to experience the functioning of all parts together without separating them. I shall never do this by thinking. I should have to look at each by itself and in relation to the rest. The sage agreed. What you say is excellent. As observer, you can take 3 positions. First, place yourself above. In the world of abstractions, try to conceive the play of causal forces and creative ideas. Second, place yourself within what is in process of becoming. Live with it. Thirdly, place yourself as man, final product of creation, face to face with it and study each of its elements. The test of your insight will consist in your not confusing the three states, which compose a unity. As to the first position, creation is continuous. What you may come to know of the abstract world exists and brings about the gestation that gives quantity. As to the second, you are in gestation yourself. As to the third, you are also a product of this. You, conscious man who observes. What do you see, conscious man? You see stars in the sky. We show you their journey in the framework of Newt's body, whose feet and hands are the two horizons, both the visible and those that limit our understanding. For symbol, we take a woman's body, and sometimes we give her robe the characteristic of water, precisely to signify gestation. Her children are the stars, each a personality with its own life. As in Newt's body, gestation too is continuous. There is simultaneity in all its functions. You have expressed this in your image of the human body. Return again to yourself and try to experience the synthesis of these worlds, each of which manifests its own function while sharing in the life of the whole. There is an image showing the voyage of the stars in the framework of Newt's body, whereby the feet and hands delimit the two horizons. The vessel of flesh that contains the organs of nutrition isn't the whole of your body. Every organ that contributes to the transformation of foodstuffs into your own substance is a vessel of flesh, and each particle of it has the same nature as the vessel. The water vessel isn't simply a system of vessels that carry liquids. Every liquid in the body is itself a vessel with specific qualities. The air vessel isn't only a tree that distributes air in the chest. Blood is a vessel that conveys the life-giving properties of air to the smallest parts of the body. By means of it, and throughout the external envelope, these properties are absorbed by humours that become vessels, each according to its role. Now, in each vessel, or world, or state of substance, whether solid, fluid, or aerial, the other two collaborate after their nature. We may speak of flesh, humours, air, but the three are allied in common activity, living, simultaneous. Thus, it is in Newt's body, which symbolises the generation and gestation of all heavenly bodies. It is the cyclical movement of these bodies and vessels, the whole harmonious order on which they depend, that constitutes the geometrical and astronomical aspects of Pt. If you could perceive the inextricable crisscross of waves, emanations, radiations and courses, you would see what I mean. Pt is the, quote, place, unquote. And fire, thanks to which Newt gestates idea that belongs to the sky, Pt. But if you would localise this, quote, place, unquote, you will find yourself as helpless as if you tried to localise the vital fire in your body. For although you may know about organs of emission and transfer, it isn't just a part of the body that is deprived of the fire without which it decays and dies, as when the soul leaves the body. It is the soul of the sky that gives Newt her life. All this, murmured Her Bak, chimes with what my heart tells me. Then you will understand that Pt is the space where numbers live and impose their being in great and small cycles and all the time, just as no part of your body is independent of its fire. So no substance in cosmos, no star, is independent of Pt. When it is said, asked Her Bak, having reflected, that which is in heaven, on earth and in the Duat, what is to be understood of those places? They are the three states of one spirit, from beginning to end of its metamorphosis. Again, strict definition is impossible, but it may be said that heaven is the world of spirit, of the causal hierarchies, the archetypal world. The Duat is the world of form principles, the archetypal world, the world of forms that define spirit in substance. Earth is the world of types, bodies, spirit incorporate. The Duat is much less a place than a state. You yourself, when asleep, live in the Duat without knowing it. There is a hieroglyph of lions representing yesterday, one facing west and the other called Dua, tomorrow, which faces east. It comprises regions that correspond with different states of consciousness and, in relation to Earth, different times. As in nature, there are two moments when dark and light meet, when light hides in darkness and when it emerges. So there are two phases of the Duat that correspond with two opposite phases of transition and the states that proceed from it. The image Aker, two lions, or sometimes a double forepart of a lion, symbolises two extreme times in the Duat. One of the lions is yesterday and looks west. The other is tomorrow and looks east. Both turn their back on yesterday's sun, which is below the horizon. It is night. The sun is travelling in the Duat. They are the keepers who open and shut the gate into the shadow world. That is why we use the lion in the theme of the bolt. The part that slides east and west is the fastening of a door. Haven't I seen bulls instead of lions? Their role as keeper is the same. It is their nature that differs. But for you, these symbols are still dumb images. Her Bak, it is difficult to speak in concrete terms of what isn't perceptible to sense. If, at the right time, I can awaken in you a consciousness of the states that make up a living man, Ak, Ba, Ka, we will return to the subject. Just now, you must gain contact with the visible heavens, where there is no woman, newt, nor sign, pt. Yet, these symbols will set the direction of your search for those, quote, places, unquote, in the sky where newt's vital functions are incarnate, for the secret of pt in functions that are geometrical. The sage and his disciple climbed the stair that led to the astronomers' terraces. Observers, absorbed in their work, paid no attention to them. Some, at fixed posts, plotted the voyage of the stars to the meridian. A few beginners were learning to take sights and work the sectors, viewfinders and circles. The sage introduced Her Bak to the master astronomer, saying, I entrust my disciple to you that you may instruct him in the laws of the sky, in the measure he can profit from a first lesson. Today I ask you to give him no more than the preliminaries on which this science of truth is founded, that later he may be able to show by his efforts how much he deserves to learn from you. The astronomer bowed. Master of masters, Your wishes are commands, but I am responsible for the secrets that are bequeathed to me. Let the disciple be judged by his own mouth. Her Bak, look west. Now, slowly turn to the east, watching the sky. What do you see? As I turn, I keep on seeing new stars. If you stand still at night, what will you see? I shall see the stars passing before me. What moves, the stars or yourself watching them? If I stand still, it must be the stars that move. Her Bak paused. Unless the earth turns as I have just done. Is this possible? The astronomer smiled at his bewilderment. He gave the disciple time to think, then asked, if the stars move, if sun and moon travel, why should Earth alone in cosmos stand still? The idea repels you? It would be strange, Her Bak replied, if one had to imagine that Earth, that seemed still in a shifting sky, was on the move. But everything I learn proves that my senses are subject to illusion. I don't dare deny that such a movement takes place, if you tell me it is so. The astronomer watched Her Bak benevolently. I will make no statement, he said. Your experience of illusion is enough to make you careful. What matters to Earth's inhabitants is that they should know of their vital connection with the sky. As to the movement of the stars, it is better to note what you see than to imagine what may deflect you from the real meaning. Then we will place ourselves at the centre of the sky we are watching, where all star movements is seen by reference to ourselves. But there are no roads in the sky, objected Her Bak, and all stars are alike. How can one recognise them? The starry sky, replied the astronomer, seems to us to be in perpetual movement, but it has been observed that it doesn't go in a straight line in a given direction, but seems to move like a disc turning about a point. This point isn't exactly in the middle of our sky. It is a star or region around which the indestructibles circulate. Star groups describe about this point a circuit that brings them back to the same spot at the end of a year. The indestructibles never leave our sky. The rest move in the same direction, but they disappear each in turn at the horizon. Those you see tonight will return in a year at the same time to the same place. Except 5 wandering planets of which we shall speak presently. That is why the word for year is Renpt, name of the cycle, or circuit of the sky. However, in spite of these movements, it has been observed that the totality of the star picture is made up of groups. One very ancient teaching gave their names, defined their character, and enabled us to place them. It was noticed also that a grand procession of stars sails across the sky like boats on a wide river from east to west. We call this band of the zodiac. The ancients, seeing the stars in it, reappeared at the same place at the end of the year. Dividing them into 36 sectors, and the stars belonging to them were called Baku, decanates. You know that each reigns in our sky for 10 days. Has the word Baku any connection with Bak, servitor or producer? Without question, since the Baku do their will of the master. Amun-Ra, for it is he, the sun, who through his course is master and life-giver in the 12 regions he visits. This is why we depict him sailing in his boats, one for the day, another for the night, accompanied by different stars according to the hour. But I must draw your attention to the symbolism relating to this celestial stream, which we use with triple intention. First, to evoke an image of the flowing waves that constitute Nut's heaven, body, or robe, wave across which the stars shape their course. Then, our sages wished to indicate by means of the symbol the zone or band in which the decanates and planets, the 5 great travellers, circulate through at different speeds. Finally, it suggests the idea of a cycle, and this allows us, by means of comparison, as it were, to fix the different regions of the sky.